In this video, we're going to look at a script to upload calendar events straight from a Google Sheet into your calendar. So what we're looking at here is the template to create events, and I've set up the sheet with 8 dummy events with description, a start date and start time, and a stop date and stop time, and then a location. So that's really all the basic details you need for setting up the calendar event. So what I'll do is I'll show you how to run the script, and then I'll show you briefly how I created it. So when you get this sheet, you'll need to copy it. So you go to File, make a copy, call it something like My Calendar Upload, and click OK. Now there's an additional menu item here called Calendar. You click on it and you just click on the option Add Events, and you'll get this prompt. It'll be once off requirement, so authorization required. So this is just to allow the script behind the sheet to run. So you just click on continue, and it says, well, you would like to manage your calendars, so it's going to access your calendars and view and manage your spreadsheets in Google Drive, so you just accept that. Now I've got an error here, can a call method create event of undefined. Okay, what that means is that this script needs to know what calendar to update. So I've got a calendar called test calendar and I want to upload to there. So I need to add the name of the calendar in this cell here in G2, cell G2. So I just put in test calendar. And now try running the script. So calendar, add events. So script is finished. Now if I look to the calendar and I refresh it, there you can see event 1, event 2, event 3, event 4, event 5, 6 and 7, and event 8 was an all-day event. Let's have a look at the spreadsheet first of all. You can manually put in the date and time details if you wish, but what I've done is I've used a Google function to do this. When you're creating time-defined events, you must enter both the date and time into the cell. So I've got an initial date and time entered here for the very first one, and the rest of the dates just hang off this initial date. I wanted the event to be an hour long, so I've used this long function here. Now it looks quite complicated, but actually it's fairly simple. All it says is look to the first date for the year, the month, and the day in cell C2, which is this cell here, and also look to this cell here for the time, for the hour, the minute, and the second. And it just has a +1 by the hour, which just means it takes the hour here and rolls it up by 1 hour. So we have the same date and an hour later. This function here is very much the same. It's taking the year, month, day, and rolling the day forward by 1 and the hour forward by 1. So it's getting the 10th of October at 10 AM, 1 hour ahead of here and 1 day ahead of this date. And similarly here, this date is just 1 hour ahead of this date here, and so on. So if you input this particular formula that manipulates each element of the date and each element of the time, you can quite accurately create new dates and new times for your calendar events. How did this all work? Well, the script is run from the script editor under Tools and Script Editor, and it is a single set of code of JavaScript. So anywhere you see the code in brown, this is just simply a comment. So I put in some details about how the code was put together. In terms of, I didn't start coding this from scratch. I started using a Google search to see if this particular method of creating Google events from a Google spreadsheet had been done before. And it had. I quickly came across this particular blog by Tony Hurst, and he'd created a script to create calendar events from a spreadsheet. What I'd done was, well, I changed the menu names and titles, nothing big there. So this particular function here on open is called a trigger function. So it says it activates on open, and what it does is it actually creates a menu item, and the item menu is called calendar, and under calendar you have add events, and if somebody clicks add events, it calls a function add cal event, and this is this function here, add cal event. So basically it's saying, okay, well, get the active sheet on the spreadsheet and start at row 2. So row 1 is purely the headers, and the number of rows down is you got by this piece of code here, which gets the number of rows to process. Now I built in a max rows, which is saying, okay, well, limit the number of rows to prevent people uploading an enormous number of calendar events just in case it goes wrong. And I've set that upper limit to 20. The next line says, well, get the value from G2, and what this value here is the name of the calendar. So I wanted every input to be from the spreadsheet and no input directly into the code itself. So the user enters the calendar name in cell G2 and the code picks up that value. The next one is, well, gets the full range of data to be uploaded. So it starts on row 2 and goes for the maximum number of rows and goes to 6 columns across, starting in column 1 or column A. And then the data gets each of the values from that particular data range, and this function here gets a calendar by name and creates events based on the calendar name. So it picks up the calendar name test calendar and starts creating events. And this for loop here just says, okay, well, column A has the title, column B has the description, column C has the date and time start, column D has the date and time stop, column E has a location, and this column F has an indicator of Y or N which dictates whether it is a all-day event or not. And this if function here, the last part of the script, says, well, if the data item all day is equal to N or small n, then it's not an all-day event. Then you use the create event method, which takes in the title, start date and time, stop date and time, the description, location. Else, so if it is a all-day event, you use the create all-day event method, which just takes in the title, the date, description and the location. Simple as that. And the function script is over. It really is as straightforward as that. So I took the initial code and changed it for the way I wanted. I just took out all references to hard coding directly into the script, and I added greater flexibility in that I wanted more flexibility as to the number of calendar events that I could create, and I also wanted the flexibility to create all-day events or time-limited events. I hope you find the script useful, and be pleased to get any feedback, good or bad, or suggestions that people may have. Thank you for watching.